Hello, Brazil. I am Coach Mike Doretto, part of Team Sasha Day Game. I've been the lead North American coach for the last 5 years. So if you wanted to come up to the States and train in Boston, Miami, LA, New York City, San Francisco, someplace like that, I'm your guy, right? I am based near Boston. Here I am with my Harvard shirt on, just for authenticity. So that's where I teach the most, up here in Boston. But I love traveling around the States and, to Europe. I haven't been to South America yet, but one day I would definitely love to go, especially because I am a 9-year, almost 10-year Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Got my brown belt right here. It is the greatest martial art in the world. All you Brazilians probably already know that, right? In my opinion, if it wasn't for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now. Because for me, in my life, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was my first step towards real masculinity, towards being a man, towards feeling like a strong, fulfilled, happy person. If I didn't start doing Jiu-Jitsu, I wouldn't have had the personal strength to go and take my boot camp with Sasha. I wouldn't have realized how miserable I was if I didn't have the family and community that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gave to me. So thank you, Brazil, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and hopefully one day I'll get down there to train with you guys. So what I want to talk to you about today are daytime street approaches and how to have good conversations during those approaches. The first thing you need, obviously, is to overcome your approach anxiety. So that is one of our clear specialties. We feel we are the best in the world at getting people to overcome their approach anxiety, even lifelong approach anxiety, in as short as 1 day. Our boot camps are 2 days long, so that gives you 1 extra day to deal with your approach anxiety. But during our boot camps, we start off with our social freedom day, the first day of the boot camp, and by the end of day 1, you will feel confident enough to approach anyone, anytime, anywhere. To at least make the approach, to at least walk on over, open your mouth, and get things started. You might not feel smooth, but that's what day 2 is for, right? So first things first, handle your approach anxiety, handle your ego, right? And handle your fear of rejection and judgment. So we can show you how to do that over here, but for today's advice, we're gonna assume you can already do that, right? We're gonna assume that you can already approach people on the street, that you've got your ego in check, that you don't take rejection too harshly, and that you aren't worried about what other people around you are thinking. Okay, so that's our starting point. So once we're there, and we feel able to approach whoever we want, whenever we want, the parts of the approach are actually very simple. And there are a lot of variations out there, but I'll give you the simplest version, right? Approach, compliment, question. 3 easy steps. So walk on over to her. That's your initial approach. Give her the first compliment that comes to your mind, the first authentic compliment. So if you're walking up and thinking, ooh, what do I say? What do I say? That's not authentic, okay? This is not a time for any canned openers. This is not a time for anything rehearsed or practiced. It's just, what is the first compliment that comes to your head about her? And you should have one, right? You should have been thinking, oh wow, she's so cute, she's so hot. What a great butt. What an awesome face. What a great dress. What an awesome outfit. Whatever that first thing, whatever that made you, whatever made her catch your eye, whatever made you look at her in the first place, that's your compliment. That's your authentic compliment. Now, if the first thing that you thought was, damn girl, you have an amazing ass, right? If that's really what you thought, then you should feel comfortable saying that. She might not respond to it the way that you want, but what we found is that as long as you're giving a genuine compliment, as long as it's real, right? Like, don't tell someone she has a nice ass unless that's what's screaming in your head. Like, it's going, like, don't try not to use profanity. Try not to swear. Don't say fuck. Don't say ass. Don't say whatever. If you can. If it's real, though, if you go up, if somebody walks by you and instantaneously you're like, fuck, what an amazing ass. Now, careful not to catcall her. You have to make sure that you're you're doing a direct compliment. You're approaching her and you're delivering this compliment to her face. If she just walks by and you blurt that out, that's a catcall. Women don't respond well to catcalls, and it could actually hurt your chances. If you do go up and make an approach later, she might think, oh, you were that rude guy who catcalled me before, right? But the point of all of this is, if it's true to your heart and it's what you're thinking in your brain, then it's the first thing that you should say. Don't overthink it. Don't try to come up with anything extra special. Just whatever the real, authentic, honest feeling you have is. We have to approach from a place of honesty and authenticity. We have to be genuine and real. We can't be rehearsed or up in our head or thinking about our plan or our strategy, our tactic, because women will be able to tell, and you will come off as creepy. The only way to prevent creepiness is with full honesty. Now, when I say full honesty, we have to be calibrated about that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, what calibration is and how to do it. But we have to make sure that we can be honest, but we have to make sure that we're saying it in the right way, right? So if I go up to somebody, and I think a girl is very attractive, and I want to have sex with her, I can walk up to her and I can say, "Hey, I want to have sex with you," right? Which is really direct, really honest, but it's a little abrupt. It's not very well calibrated. It's not very tactful, right? Something better would be to walk up and say, "Hey, I think you're really gorgeous. I would like to take you out on a date sometime, and if things go really well, maybe something beyond that," right? Or you can say, "Hey, you're super cute. I would love to get to know you better, and if we like each other, maybe we go fool around," or something like that. So you can see that there's a range of ways that you can say things. Some of them are more polite and friendly and helpful, and others are a little bit less helpful, even though it's the same message, right? So think about your message, like what you want to communicate to a person, about how attractive they are or what you feel about them, and think, okay, if somebody were saying this to me the way that I'm saying it to them, would I respond positively, right? So use your empathy. Think about this. If a stranger that you didn't know walked on up to you and said the same words that you were saying to people, would it make you feel good or would it make you feel not okay, right? And if it's not okay, then change your words. We need to use better words. And this is something that you can ask people about. You can say, "Hey, I'm trying to tell a woman that I'm only interested in casual sex. What's a good way of saying that?" Right? And you can say things like, in that example, you could say, "Oh, I'm moving really slowly with all my relationships. I'm dating a variety of people, but I'm not trying to be tied down to anyone. I'm finding that it's been very beneficial to my life, and here's the reasons why." That is a lot easier for a person to hear than, "I just do casual relationships, and you have to be okay with that," right? One is more of a demand, and one is more of a discussion, right? So anyway, approach, compliment, question. Now, how many times have you walked up to a woman and given her a compliment, something you thought was genuine, authentic, and maybe even unique? Like you walked up and said, "Oh, I love the ribbon in your hair. It makes me think of this famous actress in this awesome scene," or whatever. And, "Oh, she's great." How many times have you done that? You walk up, "Hey, you're really cute." And she just looks at you. Okay. And then maybe she just walks off, right? Why does she do this? Well, like I just said, let's reverse it. Let's reverse the situation. You're standing on a street corner, all right? And I walk up to you, stranger, and I go, "Hey, dude, nice shirt." You're going to think, "What the hell does this guy want? What does he want from me? Nice shirt, great. Thanks for telling me I have a nice shirt. What the hell do you want?" Right? That's why we have to ask a question. Asking a question tells the person that you are trying to start a conversation with them. If we don't ask a question, we lose a crucial piece of it. And of course, people are going to walk away. They're going to think you're weird, all that kind of stuff. So it's approach, compliment, question. "Hey, saw you from over there. Had to come over and say hi because I just thought you were super cute, and I wanted to find out if you had a good personality to match your good looks. My name is Mike. What's your name? All right. So right there, what's your name? Super easy question. Do you have a boyfriend? Super easy question. Do you have 5 minutes for me to flirt with you? Super easy question. But we're asking them a question so that way they know we are trying to have a conversation with them. This is something that a mistake that people make all the time. They go up, they approach, they give a compliment, and then they stop right there. Or they give a compliment and then they make another statement, right? A compliment is a statement. Just like the sky is blue, right? If you walk up to somebody and you say, hey, you're super cute, that's the same as going up to somebody and going, hey, the sky is blue. What the fuck do you want them to say in response, right? Like, you're just making a statement, not asking a question. So ask them a question. What's your name? My name is so-and-so. Now they'll know, hey, we're trying to have a conversation here. He's trying to talk to me, okay? So that's your basic technique, approach, compliment, question. Now let's refine it a little more. Let's take it a step further. So I was talking about calibration. Calibration is very important. Calibration shows the woman your level of social intelligence. And social intelligence is a very attractive feature, right? If you don't have any social intelligence, the woman is not going to want to be with you because she's going to assume that you will embarrass her or not know what to do in certain situations. And she's gonna think that it's going to hurt your leadership skills, right? And your ability to take care of her and to be a provider. So the more social calibration that we can show, the more empathetic we are in those situations, the more attractive that we will appear. So the example that I always like to give is imagine yourself on an escalator, right? You're at the mall and you've got on the escalator and you're going down the escalator. Okay. Now imagine at the top of the escalator, you turn around and you look at the top of the escalator and you see a super attractive woman. She's so hot, you have to go talk to her. You can't stand still. So you run up the down escalator like a crazy person and you run up to her and you say, hey, you're super gorgeous. I had to come up and meet you. You're out of breath because you ran up the escalator, right? How do you think she's going to respond? After she saw you pushing people out of the way, running up the escalator, sprinting up just to be like, hey, you're super cute. Hi, how's it going? What's your name, right? She's going to think you're insane. You did a crazy thing. She's going to think you're a crazy person, right? She's going to be turned off by this. Who's this crazy person running up to me? But we can fix this with a very simple concept. And the concept is called the pre-frame, all right? Pre-framing is just putting a little bit of wording or a statement before the main statement that you want to make. And this wording, it softens the main statement, or it makes it easier to hear. It makes it more likely for the person to agree with the thing that you're saying, right? So or it shows your social calibration. So back to the escalator example, I do the same thing, but this time before I give her the compliment, right? So right after I approach her, before I give her the compliment, I go, hey, I know what I just did was crazy. That must have looked insane, but I had to come up and meet you. You're just too gorgeous to pass up. That's way better, right? Doesn't that sound better? Also, if she likes you, if she already thought you were cute and likes you as if you're already her type, then that makes it romantic. Without the pre-frame, it's crazy. With the pre-frame, showing that you know that you just did something crazy, now it makes it romantic. Now she's like, oh, okay, this guy is socially calibrated and he liked me so much that he did something crazy that other people would judge him negatively for just to come up and say hi to me. Wow, that's a really attractive, that's a really attractive thing. That's a really attractive introduction right there, right? So that's the importance of a pre-frame. So some pre-frames that you can use out there, really common ones are, hey, I know this is random. Hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. A lot of times when you approach somebody on the street, they think you're trying to sell them something or you're a bum or whatever. So just calling out the moment, being like, hey, I know this is really random, but you're really cute. Or, hey, I'm not a robber. I'm not trying to steal anything. I know this is really cute. Now, you've seen Sasha run around doing these things in his videos, but this is the reason why, okay? The theory behind the pre-frame is that it helps demonstrate your social calibration, and that is an attractive feature about yourself, right? So really, now we refine the thing. It goes approach, pre-frame, compliment, question. So approach, pre-frame, compliment, question. Walk on up to her. Hey, Saw you from over there. I know this is a little random, blah, 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 blah. You can have as many pre-frames as you like. Like you can, we used to play a game called the pre-frame train. So you string them up. Hey, I don't want to sound weird or anything. I know this is a little random. I see that you're busy with your friends. I know it's lovely weather we're having today, but I think you're really cute. And hi, my name's Mike. What's yours? Right. So you can see the pre-frames. They're a minor thing, but they're an important thing, right? There's something very, very good to remember. They will help your approaches go smoother and start off better. Conversation and how to connect emotionally with a woman before you ask for the number. If you don't have an emotional connection with the woman, then there's a high likelihood that she will flake out and not respond to your calls or your texts, right? The other thing is, if you're not having an emotional connection with a person, if you're not having an emotional conversation, then your conversations are going to be much shorter and much more surface level. So it doesn't give her a lot of evidence to go on as to why, proof of why you're a good person to spend time with, right? So the more that we're connecting emotionally, the more that we're talking about deeper topics and things that are of true importance to a person, the more that we can demonstrate our personality, our beliefs, our philosophies, and give each other, not, because remember, if you're having this deep conversation, if you're talking deeply, she's going to be talking deeply too. So you're going to be learning about her as well. So you should be talking enough to screen each other, so you know that by the time you get to the date, it's going to be more awesomeness, just continued fun. If you don't have fun in that initial conversation, if you don't give her anything to hold on to, then there's a good chance she's just going to forget about you or not respond, because it doesn't make sense. Again, use your empathy, switch it around. If a cute girl walked up to you on the street, let's say she's cute enough for you to go out on a date with, but she lives far away. She lives like an hour and a half away, 2 hours, something like that, right? She walks up to you randomly on the street and she says, "Oh, hey, you're super cute. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah." And then all you do is talk about the weather. She's like, "Oh, what a lovely day we're having. Isn't it nice? Oh, yeah, cool. Well, you know what? I would like to go on a date with you. So here's my number. Give me a call and let's go on a date." Are you going to go on a date with that girl? Now, all the desperate guys out there are like, "Of course, she showed interest. Yes, yes, yes," right? But remember, I said that she lives 2 hours away. So you have to invest 4 hours of your time just to go out and see her, right? If all she did was say that she thinks you're cute, that's all she said. She said she thinks you're cute and then talked about the weather. Are you really going to spend that 4 hours? Are you really going to spend that? Because you could drive 2 hours out there, start talking, and she could be like, "I really love this football team," and you could say, "I really love this other football team," and then boom, right there, you clash, you have a bad date, and you just wasted a 4-hour drive to go out to see her. You would much more, you prefer, if you knew something else about her. So if she came up and talked to you and said, "Hey, I want to go on a date with you. Oh, the weather's lovely, blah, blah, blah," but then she starts saying like, "And, these are all my passions and hobbies. I'm interested in this thing and this thing and this thing." And you go, "Oh, wow, I'm interested in those things too." So now at the very least, you have something to talk about when you go out on your date, right? That's a much better scenario. Think about women. Women are dealing with they have a ton of options. Women live already in a mindset of sexual abundance. They already know that they can find, if they want sex or they want dates, they simply have to go out and ask for it or respond to a couple people on online dating or something like that. We are the ones that have to go out and find some opportunities, right? We have to go out and create some opportunities for ourselves. So we need to differentiate ourselves from all of the other guys that might be approaching this person. And the way that we do that is with the unique emotional connection that we can get through having our conversation, right? We're already differentiating ourselves if we're doing the approach properly, okay? If we're direct, honest, ballsy, authentic, we're coming up and we're saying, "Hey, you're super cute. I like you. Here's my question. Do you have a boyfriend? Let's chit chat. What's your passion? Blah, blah, blah." Right away, if you're doing that without ego, without neediness, without without being too macho, you're right, you don't want to overdo it. Right there, you're gonna come off as different than the other guys, right? You're gonna come off as different. Then the level of conversation that you have, like how much you connect over the conversation, that is really going to separate you out from the pack, right? You want her walking away. If she were to tell her friends about you, you want her to be able to say, "Oh yeah, well he was really nice. He came up to me and he said this thing and that was really cool. And then we talked for 20 minutes about these things that I really care about. So yeah, I'm really excited about hanging out with him again." That's the impression that you want to leave her. But you can't do that if you're just bantering or keeping the conversation surface level. So how do we get it to be deeper? How do we do that? All right. So the example with this that I always like to give is, what if you meet a woman and you're talking to her and things are going really well and you say, all right, well, what is your passion? What is your, what's the most important thing to you in your life? And she says, I like to collect Barbie dolls. How the fuck do I respond to that? Right? That's like if I told her I like to collect boxing gloves. Right? Like, what woman is going to be able to say, oh yeah, boxing glove collector, oh great, we totally have that in common? No, of course not. What the hell do I have in common with someone who likes to collect Barbie dolls? This is where our conversation skills come in, all right? So we might have thousands of different interests, okay? Our interests might differ completely. We might not have any overlap with our interests, but our emotions do overlap, okay? The vast majority of us experience similar feelings whenever we're talking about, happiness, sadness, anger, nostalgia, frustration, love, things like that. We can relate to each other's emotions, even if we can't relate to each other's subjects, topics, interests, right? So back in that same example, she goes, hey, I love to collect Barbie dolls. And my first question to her is going to be, why? All right, and listen to how I said that, okay? I didn't go, why? Right? I didn't try to, I'm not challenging her. I'm not trying to imply that, that she's wrong or stupid or silly for collecting Barbie dolls. I'm being curious. I'm being legitimately curious. Why? Why do you collect Barbie dolls? What motivates you to collect those Barbie dolls? That motivator, we want to get down to the emotion, the emotional motivation behind what a person likes, because that's where we can connect, right? So I say, why? Why do you collect Barbie dolls? And she says, well, when I was a kid, every time I would go visit my grandmother, she would buy me a Barbie doll. So I guess when I collect Barbie dolls, it makes me think of my grandmother. It reminds me of my grandma, right? Boom. Now we can connect, all right? I can say, oh, wow, well, okay, so it makes you think of your grandmother. When I go to the movies, it makes me think of my grandfather, because he used to take me to the movies all the time. So I kind of relate to you on that. I always sort of think of him then. Oh, that's really cool. That's interesting, right? See? So boom, now we're connecting. Now we're connecting on an emotional level. We could take it one step further, right? Now that we know that it's important to her to, think about her loved ones, we can come up with a new example that's related to that, right? So I can say something like, oh, wow, you must really be close with your family, huh? If you like to do something that makes you think of your grandmother, I'm guessing that you are that you're also close with your mother and father. Do you have any siblings, right? And now we're learning about each other's backgrounds. We're learning about their siblings. We'll get a chance to talk about ours. We're talking about the love of our family. So we're both coming off as these people that, are really caring about their family. And that's a good quality. That's an attractive, interesting quality. And this is just one example. I'll try to give you another one. So I knew a guy who liked to build American muscle cars, right? So I'm not a car guy. I don't know a lot about transmissions and Trans-Ams and all. I probably just sounded really stupid saying that right now, right? So I have no basis of comparison when I'm talking to this guy. But in the conversation, this was before I learned all this stuff. In the conversation, he starts telling me, well, Mike, the reason that I love cars, this specific kind of car, is because it's the first car that I got after I got my driver's license. It was the most popular car model that year. It was just the car that everyone was driving. It was the 60s or something. And I saved up my money all summer for that car, and I was so happy when I got that car. I lost my virginity in that car. I had that car for so long that I even married my first wife, and we drove off in that car. So he's telling me about all of this emotional significance that he attaches to the car. So I started to get interested not in the car, right, but in his passion for what he does. I got interested in his emotions surrounding the thing that he does, and it was contagious. It made me go, oh wow, so tell me more about that. Tell me about the, and I started asking questions that I wasn't asking questions like, oh, how big are the engines, and details that I don't care about, but I was asking questions like, oh wow, well, did you take it to events? What are those like? How do you feel at those things, right? So now we were connecting on this emotional level on a topic that I literally had no interest in. Okay, so asking the why question, trying to get down to the emotions, is the way that you can talk to anyone about anything, right? You can, once you're connecting emotions, we're talking about emotions, no matter who the person is, no matter what the topic is, we can find some common ground. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the importance of having a mentor, right? The importance of getting professional coaching. You could go out and do this stuff on your own, and guess and test and go out there and do hundreds of approaches, thousands of approaches, all without paying for any coaching. And you'll get some level of success. Something will happen, right? But will it be as successful as you could be? Will it, and how long will it take? Those are the questions. Now, if you look around, you will find that all of the people that are at the top of their game, whether it's business people, sports, athletes, movie stars, whoever is a top level performer, one way or another, they get coaching. They have coaching. Even coaches themselves get other coaches, right? So don't think that coaching somehow makes you less of a man, or that you should be ashamed to ask for help. These are all just toxic mentalities that will keep you stagnant, keep you stuck in place, and prevent you from getting the highest levels of success. So if you have a coach or a mentor that you trust, reach out to that person, spend some money, and get yourself handled. You can learn a lot of knowledge from watching videos and reading articles and buying books and all that other kind of stuff. You can get a lot of knowledge. But the most important thing is how you implement that knowledge live, in person, in the field. And there are so many little questions, so many little, body language, tonality, posture, the kind of things you say, little calibration things like, when she moves a little bit like this, that's a bad sign. These are all things that we can't tell you. We can't tell you unless we're there with you, right? Unless a coach is right next to you, we can't fix these things. So you might take my advice, go out on the street, try to apply it, and think, oh my God, it's not working. It works. You're doing it wrong, right? So call up a coach and get those questions answered, and that's really the true path towards getting really successful with this kind of stuff. Just make sure you trust the coach and believe in the things that he's teaching you. All right, guys, that's it for me, Mike Doretto. Again, you can find me at mike@sashapua.com. Shoot me an email if you have any questions on this presentation, or if you're interested in training with us up in the States, or Skype calls. We do Skype coaching too. So if you've gotten a lot of value out of this presentation, just imagine what I could do to answer your specific questions on the phone. But to summarize for you: approach, pre-frame, compliment, question. Only spend your time with green zone women. And ask the why question so you can get to the emotional content of the topic of conversation. If you do all those things and you go out and get yourself a coach or a mentor, I am sure that you can have some really good success with women out there. All right? So get out there, guys. Be direct, be ballsy, and have a good time.